Get ready. Start. Madam, the Honorable Finance Minister in his budget speech has admitted that the taxes he has levied are of an exceptional character, and he himself has stated that the taxation proposals of the fifth budget of his career total the additional taxation proposals of the other four put together, and he has justified his rather heavy taxation on the ground that the defense and the development needs of the country require such a heavy burden. Madam, I entirely agree with the Honorable Finance Minister that exceptional efforts for resources mobilization have to be made in view of the critical situation through which we are passing, and therefore I have no hesitation in supporting the general approach which has guided the bill which is now before this house. At the same time, madam, it is necessary to examine the conditions that will be necessary in order to mobilize these resources, so that ultimately it may not be in our efforts to mobilize resources and the generation of additional resources which would be needed in future for our defense and development purposes may become very difficult. It is in this regard that it will be necessary, while considering the proposals contained in this bill, to review the general health of the economy and the impact that these proposals are likely to make on the economic conditions in our country. We were told again and again by the agriculture minister that everything was all right as far as the agricultural sector was concerned, that the food position was very sound, that the other agricultural products were making rapid progress, and that there was no need for any anxiety. It was therefore with some shock that the country read about the proceedings of the AICC which met in New Delhi, wherein this question was pointedly referred to by the Planning Commission as well as by the Minister of Food and Agriculture. From the discussions that appeared in the newspapers were found that there was something very seriously wrong with our agricultural sector, and that it was not making that headway which it was expected to make and which it claimed it was making, and therefore as a result of the stagnation in this sector, the entire economy was stagnating. Some detailed considerations regarding the reasons why our agriculture was not making any progress were also considered according to the reports. From the discussions, it becomes quite clear that the administrative machinery was not geared to the very heavy big tasks that were ahead in the agricultural sector, and even today it has become more and more difficult to find out exactly on whom the responsibility for developing the agricultural sector is to be fixed and who is to be held responsible in case the targets which have been prescribed for the agricultural sector are not fulfilled. We had some journal discussion regarding what needs to be done in this matter, but so far we have not been given any assurance or any clear picture as to what the government proposes to do in order to put the agricultural sector on a sounder footing. This is all the more regrettable because for the last 4 or 5 years we are continuously hearing of the determination of the government to see that the agricultural sector is put on a sound footing, and also the declaration of the realization on the part of the government and especially of the Prime Minister that so far agricultural sector was a neglected sector of our economy, that it was a mistake, that it was a great lacuna in our planning, and that the government was henceforth determined to see that this sector developed as rapidly as possible. Madam, we want resources. We want resources for our defense. We want resources for our development. And how is the community to find these resources in case the economy is not developed at even the prescribed rate? When the 10th 5-year plan was prepared, obviously the emergency which suddenly overtook this country in October to November 2002 was not in their consideration. The targets were fixed mostly in terms of the development of the economy and not so much in terms of defense of the country. After that, this country has suddenly been called upon to assume a further responsibility of finding resources for the defense of the country. Now, if defense were taken out for the time being of our consideration, and if purely the question of development and the needs of development were kept before our eyes, even then the targets that were fixed in the 10th 5-year plan ought to have been realized. And the report on the 10th 5-year plan clearly mentions that even if those targets were realized, if progress was made as prescribed, even then it would be rather onerous on the part of the community to find adequate resources.